The United States are known as the police of the world and has a long history of military battles. I've decided to build 10 scenes depicting battles from World War II, the Korean War, Vietnam War, Desert Storm, Battle of Mogadishu, Iraq War, as well as the war in Afghanistan. I know there's much more to build, but unfortunately I only have figures for these topics, so let's start building the first mock, which depicts the Battle of Sicily in 1943. All builds will basically have the same size. As you can see, I've used a total of 9 4x4 plates, which 3 of them are rounded. The idea of this build is to have a section of a house as well as rubble made out of light bluish grey and tan bricks. 2 American soldiers will go down the road and control the city. The minifigures are printed by a company called Minifig Co. The weapons are from Brick Arms and the banded arm is made by a company called Crazy Bricks. I've attached the M1 rifle at the back of the soldier by using a small string. Let's continue with a Pacific War related mock. I've prepared these 2 Marines wearing their frog skin camo. The main attraction of this build will be a Japanese coast defense gun. I will show you in a quick tutorial how I've designed it to give you the opportunity to build it by yourself. I've decided to build it in light bluish grey instead of dark bluish grey because I think this fits way better to a coast defense gun. The model is turnable and will be built in 1/45 scale to perfectly fit the size of a minifigure. Feel free to build this gun as well, but I would love to see a tag if you use it in any of your builds. Once the gun was done, I just had to build a small landscape surrounding it. I've decided to use some dark bluish grey pieces to simulate rocks. Now I just have to add both Marines and the second build is already done. I post pictures of these scenes at my Instagram page as well, and I will build a bigger version of the most liked mock, so feel free to check my Instagram page as well. All of you should know my big pointy hawk mock I've made this year, but now I've decided to build a smaller scene of this battle. Again, everything starts with these rounded plates. I've came up with a quite complex design which allowed me to create a wonderfully rounded shape. I've used a combination of headlight bricks and bricks with studs on the side. Next, I've replicated the step you just have seen in the time-lapse speed build. Now I just had to prepare the elements for the other 2 sides. And here we go, the fully rounded shape is done. I have to say that I really like this design. Of course I want to add more details at the top of the build, therefore I had to add some filler bricks to attach plates at the top. As you can see, this 4x4 rounded plate perfectly ends up with the rest of the build. Now we can finally add all the details at the top of the build. I've decided to build a small German MG bunker as well as barbed wire and some foliage. And here we go, the third build of the series is already done. You can see 2 US Army Rangers at the top of Pointy Hawk. The fourth build is the final World War II related build and I will use these 2 American late war soldiers for it. The scene depicts a house in a German city called Aachen. I've used these brackets in a unique way to create a nicely looking wall. I've also created a small pathway leading into the house. I've copied the design of the wall to attach it to the other side as well. Now it's time to build a street in front of the house, which I made by using 2x2 rounded tiles as well as corner tiles. To fit the colors of the house with the front wall, I've used a combination of light bluish grey and medium nougat colored pieces. The wall design is quite simple and is mainly made out of masonry bricks. The walls of the house felt empty, that's why I've decided to add windows in the colors of light bluish grey and reddish brown. The light bluish grey modified plates also added some nice texture to the build. After copying this design, the house was nearly done, I just had to add a roof. I've added hinges which allowed me to place the roof at an angle like this. And here we go, the last World War II related build is done. As you can see, I've added light bluish grey flex tubes at the left and right of the door and I think this looks really clean. The first non-related World War II mock is about the Korean War. I've prepared these 2 US Marines and as you can see, because of the gloves, this build is winter related. I've used these interesting curved bricks for the corners. In my opinion, they were perfect for snowy hills. And after filling the last gaps, it was time to add the second part of this mock. After placing all the filler plates, it was time to build the top of the mock. And as you can see, this rounded plate perfectly ends up with the curved bricks. Let's attach 3 more of these and all the final ground details. As you can see, I've used some reddish brown pieces to make the groundwork look a bit more interesting. Once this was done, I just had to attach the tree I've already made. I've stacked a bunch of white leaf pieces onto a reddish brown flex tube and used these teeth pieces to make them look like ice crystals. And here's the final look at the tree and the rest of the build. The Marines standing at the hill and waiting for further orders. Let's continue with the Vietnam War, also known as the Jungle War. I've prepared the MG gunner armed with a M60 as well as a regular grunt armed with an M16. The idea of this mock is to build a medium colored pathway which is surrounded by a lot of plants. I have to say that I really like the color combination of this build. Of course I had to add a palm tree, and I made this one by using a selection of reddish brown flex tubes as well as whip pieces, and then added the popular palm leaf pieces. Now I just had to finish the rest of the foliage by adding some more bamboo leaf pieces as well as grass pieces and regular leaf pieces. And here we go, the 6th build is already done. I have to say that I really like the cigarette package at the chest of this soldier. The next mock is about Operation Desert Storm. I'm super excited for this one since I love the chocolate chip camo. Again, I've started building the freeform of the build by using several rounded corner plates. Now it was time to build a rough, sandy hill. I've used a combination of dark tan and tan slopes and plates to create a smoothly looking landscape. The upcoming shot is definitely my most favorite of the whole video, and here's the final build. Let's continue with the Battle of Mogadishu in 1993. These bad boys are members of the Delta Force which had intense fights during the Battle of Mogadishu. The soldiers are running down the road and take cover behind a house. I've made this house by using the studs not on top technique. I've created a smoothly looking round corner in the colors of light bluish grey and white. I've again had to use brackets to achieve this design. Next I've integrated destroyed windows into both of the walls. I've decided to go with a reddish brown frame and use transparent pieces for the destroyed windows. Let's add all of the prepared parts for the wall at the final house. The only thing I have to build now is the roof, and this wasn't easy at all. I had to use a combination of modified bricks and plates to create a smoothly looking roof. Once this was done, the 8th build is finally done. Let's use these both American Army Rangers for the Iraq 2003 mock. This build takes place in the desert again. To not only use 10 bricks, I've decided to complement light bluish grey colored pieces as well. The idea is to build a destroyed stone wall where both Rangers are taking cover. It wasn't easy at all to place all the light bluish grey bricks in the position I've wanted them, but I think this turned out pretty good. To make the build look more realistic, I've decided to add a lot of rubble made out of corner tiles. I've also managed to achieve a unique minifigure positioning by removing the right arm of the right minifigure. And here we go, let's start the final build, which is going to be the Battle of Afghanistan. These two US Army multicam soldiers are the perfect minifigures to build it. I've again decided to use a combination of light bluish grey and tan colored pieces, but this time I will include way more rock work. I just love creating landscapes like this one because I can use a lot of different types of pieces to create some smoothly looking creations. It always helps during the building process where you want to place your minifigures to set them up at the final build. And here we go, the final build is done. But let's take a look at all the builds perfectly lined up together. Feel free to comment down below which of these ones your favorite is. I have to say that I really enjoyed building every single of them, since they're all telling a different story of different periods of the US wars. Also don't forget to check my Instagram page and like the build you like the most, because I will build a bigger version of the most liked picture. Don't forget to like and subscribe, thanks for watching and see you next time. Bye bye.